I'm like, my cholesterol got better when I started eating this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Aren't you afraid of like poisoning yourself with red meat? Everything in my health got better when I started eating carnivore. My inflammation is down. My arthritis is almost gone. Completely. I was diagnosed with arthritis when I was 7 years old.
That is
and it
amazing.
And it didn't get any better. I started on carnivore 2 years ago. Arthritis is gone.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is your first time here. I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker, located in beautiful, beautiful Coachella Valley. I was going to say Palm Desert, but we're in the Coachella Valley because it spreads from Palm Springs all the way out to Coachella and everything else between. As Mary said last week, if you don't know where the Coachella Valley is,
Google it.
Google it and find a map. Again, I'm Blair Armstrong, Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I'm a residential realtor in the world of global luxury residential real estate. And then my co-host, who you see on the screen here, I'm going to introduce this lovely lady here to me again, just a short bit time, but Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He is a good friend of mine for almost 30 years. I can't believe how fast time has gone. But at Brent Wright Incorporated, man with many hats, from wellness centers, which we're going to be talking about today, to body shops, to detail shops, to multiple property owner, landlord, payroll companies, computer wizard. The list goes on and on. Most of these businesses, you will go back. We had actually episode number 90 last week. But if you go back and check them out, this has not happened overnight. This is a culmination of over 30 years to get to this spot. With that being said, on my left, possibly you're right, the way that this turns out every time. One day I'm going to get it right. Mary Lockram. Mary's in the morning. She's back for a second. I think that we've found a really good niche here. We're going to start seeing a lot more of her around here. She gives a really great insight. She keeps Brent and I honest, to the point. So how are you?
I am good. I love the topic you guys picked today.
We're going to have a good time.
Jam.
This
Health
is
and wellness.
Health and wellness, right?
Favorite topic, as you know, because it's all I can talk about right now.
Yeah.
And the primary reason that is because I lost 65 pounds in 8 months.
It's good.
And I didn't take any medication and I didn't take any shots.
No Ozempic and none of that stuff.
No.
Okay. We're going to get into that. So before I say, Brent, how are you, bud? I don't want to leave you out.
Good. Yeah, just, balmy 33 degrees and rocking and rolling. Started out with a sinus infection on Saturday, and it kind of turned into something. So I'm in the middle of that health and wellness journey this week myself. Hopped in the hyperbaric chamber on Monday. Been doing light therapy, vibration therapy. Been doing homeopathic stuff, which is we could do a whole podcast just on the homeopathic stuff. I'm really excited about that. It's about transference of energy. So health and wellness, highlighted by transference of energy. So if you have this type of sickness, you take this and the two energies cancel each other out.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we could talk more about that. But yeah, I'm doing good. I might have a little coughing fit. I'm all jacked up on homeopathic cough syrup. So if I seem excited and energetic, it's because of, homeopathic cough syrup. So there you go.
Yeah, I think, which I know Mary has some questions here today that we're going to talk about, but obviously with your experience kind of going at health at the healthy way, right? Instead of taking these very toxic drugs to help you lose weight, Brent being in a more of a light hyperbaric type of expert, looking for different avenues like ivermectin. I know that society's really scratching the surface on all of this stuff. Brent and I have talked about this in the past. We always relied on this over-the-counter stuff and really didn't know what it was doing to us, but it was almost kind of keeping us sick, not only mentally, but physically. So now that Brent has this wellness center, you've gone through this amazing journey. Let's start with that. Is like, okay, I'm 65 pounds ago. first of all, how did you get to that point? Was it COVID related? Was it just kind of like all this, I'll say it, all this shit happened and I just got in a kind of a dark spot and I let myself go? How did that start? And then how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things, as it is for most of us, right? I think it's, aging. I think for me, I had cancer in the lining of my uterus. They did a ablation and then it came back. And so they did a hysterectomy. And so one minute I'm not in menopause and I wake up and I am in menopause. Um, I think it was just moving. My husband is in the hotel business, so we move a lot and we live in the hotels. And so, you live in a, great hotel with Michelin chefs and you eat killer food and drink great wine and, that catches up to you. And then, of course, COVID. I think I shared my journey last week. We lost everything during COVID and that was tough. And probably I drank too much during that time, if I'm being completely honest. And I ate and I was bored. And I think that I can speak for a lot of us through that. You and I were just talking about that. There was nothing to do. I mean, when you have helicopters flying over the golf courses telling you to get off the golf course, and where I was, we couldn't go down to the beach to even take a surf by ourselves. So, we sat in our driveway and drank White Claws all day or whatever.
Exactly.
And so I think it was a bunch of things. And I went to have a physical a little over a year ago and I was pre-diabetic. All of my numbers were in the red and I got a referral to a cardiologist and, basically they made me walk on a treadmill and the cardiologist told me you're not going to live to see your grandchildren if you don't pull it together. And that was an eye opener because I am living to one day meet my grandchildren.
Right.
And so, they offered me, of course, the different alternatives to the shots, which if you have done that, I'm not judging. Everybody needs to take their own path. But for me, I felt like we don't know what's in this. It's taking something off the shelf for actual diabetics. And it's not sustainable because the minute I stop it, then I'm just going to gain all the weight back. So I needed to change my lifestyle.
And, you said a couple of things there, and I want Brent, you're going to fill in this obviously with your journey with your wife and everything, kind of going back and finding all these different things. But I think that's such a big thing is we're always looking for this amazingly quick fix to like, okay, I've got to do this. Now your recovery from where you were to where you are today, it's massively quick. This doesn't normally happen that quick, but again, there's an opportunity. But one thing that Brent and I talked about a couple of weeks.
It didn't feel quick. I mean, I cried through some of those workouts. I just want to point that out. Right now, sitting down today, almost brought tears to my eyes because of a leg workout I did 3 days ago. So take that back.
Leg day sucks. I hate doing leg day. But that's what, I think one of the things, Brent you and I have kind of had that journey of getting back healthy from getting away our lifestyle. You've been sober for 7 years now?
Yeah, this is the 8th year. Yep.
7 years.
Congratulations. That's a huge component about what I want to talk about today is alcohol.
Alcohol is big. 75 Hard was our foundation to kind of get back there and the Live Hard program. That was us. It was not only more of a physical journey, it was more mental, which I'm sure that we're going to talk about that on today, because being physically out of shape is such a mental just burden. And the more that you get out of shape, and I'm attesting this, kind of reliving my journey during COVID, we had a kegerator in our house. You didn't drink water. You just had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beers and then put Chipotle and Doritos on top of it for a couple weeks, if not months. The problem is you start looking at yourself and like, who am I becoming? Why are all these different things happening? And it can get easily out of control.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And so, Brent, I mean, one of your things to kind of pull you on this, when you started 75 Hard, not only with your wife, but with your kids, what was that like? Hey, I've done this before, but why am I doing this? And then a little bit of mentality on a mental part of this, but what was a little bit more physical part on that too?
So the mental part for me, every time I've done 75 Hard, it was important to me to start it and to finish it, of course. But to sit down with my family and make sure they were bought in on it, make sure that I had the support mechanism there. The real game changer for me was doing it in light of the fact that I didn't need to do it. So I have the exact opposite problem, Mary, of most people. I can't gain weight. So I have to physically force myself into a massive calorie intake for 6 or 8 months before I did 75 hard, because I knew I was going to lose 30% of whatever I gained. And I was going to try to turn it into muscle, but I shed weight like it's going out of style. I always have. When April met me, I weighed 140 pounds and I was 5'9". Now, after my accident, I'm 5'8". And I still couldn't get much beyond 160, 165, no matter what. Ironically, the healthier I ate and the less garbage I took in, the more I had opportunities to actually gain weight and gain weight properly. And so I got up to 182 before I started 75 hard last time. And I was eating at 10,000 plus calories a day. I was doing intermittent fasting. So I was doing 10,000 calories in like 6 hours. And It was just a massive amount of food. And then I dropped down. I got down to 157.6 at a 14.0 body fat at the end.
Wow.
And I started out at 18% body fat. So at 182 with 18% body fat, it was just game changer for me in the way that I felt, the way that I worked through it. One of my mentors and coaches, when you guys gave me this subject yesterday, the first thing that came to mind was one of my mentors and coaches says, if everybody could get fit and ripped by getting a shot in their ass, I would have a line out the door and I'd be a billionaire.
Right.
But there's no quick fix in any of this. And it's
No,
work.
there's not. And it's so important what we eat. And I think there are people that have that same issue that you have, but the majority of people have the issue that I had, right? And they were just eating and putting whatever, in their mouth, and processed food. You guys, we just talk about it for a second.
Yeah.
Brent, I think we touched on this just briefly last week or in one of our conversations. We're feeding our children. I mean, I think back now that I know what I know about health and fitness and nutrition, and I just cringe at what I threw in my children's lunch boxes alone. I wasn't giving my children the tools to be focused and alert for their teachers. Like, we need to really be thinking about no processed food in our homes, because what is in that food? It's poison.
But let's stop there, because I think that's right. The way that you and I and Brent all grew up, the stuff that we got that looks similar today in packaging
Sure.
is completely different than when we were kids. I'm not saying like snack pack pudding was great, but the lunch meats and the stuff like that, how it was real lunch meat, and now with these special
Now
chemicals,
it's processed.
Now it's processed.
Dyed, and I mean, we really need to think about this. The number one way we can prevent chronic disease like heart disease and cancer is having a healthy weight, like what Brett is talking about. Obesity is the leading cause of stroke, which I've had, by the way, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. Obesity, that's the leading cause. I mean, we know this, yet we put junk food in our children's lunches and we eat it ourselves. We're driving through because we're late, to wherever, and we're getting fast food,
So this question comes in my mind when we brought up this topic yesterday, and we are talking about some things, and I know that you're going to reach on this. We've come to a society that if you promote healthy living and staying in shape, going to the gym and stuff like this, you're in essence, maybe in so many different words that you say, or so many different words that I say, or what Brent says, people hide behind your fat shaming me. But realistically,
you just want them to be healthy.
Just want to be healthy because of what it does for society, for health insurance. I mean, the list goes on and on. Listen, I was there. I was 220 pounds. I'm now 193.
I weighed almost as much as you.
Yeah. So, okay. you don't feel good. You're lethargic. There's certain things, more health problems come out of that. Inflammation, strokes, heart attacks, doing this stuff. I get it. It is not freaking easy, especially with what we have. We're in a very stressful, go get it today, blah, blah, blah. Grab something on the run. I have a protein bar. Are you really reading the protein bar? What's in that protein bar? Because some are really good. Some are just
most are bad, actually.
Most of them are horrible.
Seed oils.
Oh, that's
garbage.
a big one. That's a really big one. I mean, I didn't know, oils that as a young mother, on a budget, I was using, whatever the cheapest oil was. And as Brent said, it was seed oil. And, I was cooking all kinds of stuff in it for my children. Now I only pretty much have avocado oil in my house.
Yeah.
That's what we should be using. Even the cooking spray.
Switch to ghee. GHE.
Yeah, I know. I don't like the taste of it.
Man, you gotta, it's
I know it's even better. I just one step at a time, buddy.
It's like ice cream to me. I just
really,
I put it, slather it on my meat. I put a big clob of butter on there.
And, I don't even like the smell of it.
I had a dear friend of mine, which there are a lot of things I want to talk about with this person, but she's like, "Aren't you afraid of your cholesterol?" I'm like, my cholesterol got better when I started eating this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Aren't you afraid of like poisoning yourself with red meat? Everything in my health got better when I started eating carnivore. My inflammation is down. My arthritis is almost gone. Completely. I was diagnosed with arthritis when I was 7 years old.
That is amazing.
And it didn't get any better. I started on carnivore 2 years ago. Arthritis is gone.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And I think that, and before we get into the two, and I know there's been a lot of controversy and a lot of here's misinformation with the RFK hire on there. I think that it's a long ways to go. It's not going to happen overnight, and I get that, but I just feel like we have been fed so many different things. Do this way, and it's almost been a propaganda type of diet now with wellness centers from Caitlin and Edna and you now and methylene blue and all these different things that we can talk seed oils,
stuff.
all these things that before that were said, oh, these are healthy. This is a different way. The canola oils, right, and all that stuff. Now we're kind of getting this new information, the ivermectins. These different things are like, wow, these are really actually good for you. But when it's pushed and when there's an agenda, I feel like there was a hidden agenda, like take this stuff and let's keep you sick so we can keep you in the hospitals. We can keep you on drugs. We can keep you on the Ozempic. Now, and again, I know Ozempic's a really touchy subject right now because sometimes it's absolutely necessary for a certain part, but it's not a lifestyle type of drug. And I just feel when I see it on commercials right now, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I'm feeling they're pushing that as a lifestyle drug to take it every day when it's really supposed to help you get to the people that are stuck, get to here, but you got to get out of this to get to there, right?
Well, I agree. It's not sustainable.
Cocaine's a lifestyle drug, right? So, is it sustainable?
Well, so talking about different oils and whatnot, what is the optimal diet for my health? What the carnivore is to you maybe isn't to me.
To you. Yep.
I believe what works for me is very much a certain amount of protein a day and a ton of vegetables. Mm-hmm. I eat very minimal fruit. I do eat fruit, but very minimal. Fruit breaks down to sugar, right? Mm-hmm. So why would I want to be eating just fruit all day long? Mm-hmm. We do need some sugars, but not refined sugars, right? So we need to be thinking about some of this stuff.
So you need to be eating seasonally.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So meaning that you don't eat apples all year long. You eat apples in the fall and winter because they grow in the spring and summer, and you harvest in the fall, and then you eat them through the winter.
So what are they putting in those apples if you're eating them in the spring?
Well, they're freezing them, and they're usually 3 years old, and they're covered in a peel, APEEL, which is a wax coating that has a ton of herbicides, pesticides, a ton of what do you call those fresheners? They keep it fresh. But they're put into suspended animation. If you drive up the gorge in Washington, you can see these massive 200,000 square foot freezer facilities. They're full of nothing but fruit in suspended animation, and there's a 3-year cycle that they cycle them out. So we're eating, like, if you have an apple today that you got from the grocery store, it was harvested likely 3 years ago.
I hate you.
Wow. Most
100%.
people do not know that. That is fabulous information.
That's why you got to go to your farmers markets. You got to go to a CSA. A CSA is essentially a farm to table distributor.
Right.
Don't eat anything out of season. So, for instance, blueberries. Right now, we're getting these massive blueberries. They're from Peru and all these fun stuff because they're in season in Peru, right?
Right.
But 3 years ago, because they're in suspended animation too. So they put these out in certain times of the year. You remember when you were a kid and you got a pomegranate for Christmas?
Yeah.
Right? And you ate it and you felt amazing and you felt like all jacked up on Mountain Dew and felt like you could run through a wall and all your cousins were around and you're sitting there eating these things and you're just all jazzed. So that is in season and it's designed, and the pomegranate juice and the seed, if you eat the whole thing, there is more nutrients in the seed than there is in the juice.
Interesting.
Right? And it's designed to help give you energy and sustainable energy in the wintertime. That's when you're supposed to eat it.
Wow.
Good information.
Wow.
Broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower. There's a ton of GMO stuff that's only been around for 100 years. We didn't have broccoli 100 years ago. Carrots, we didn't have 100 years ago. Look up what
carrots are full of sugar anyway. We don't want to eat carrots.
Well, look up what a wild carrot looks like. You wouldn't want to eat it. It looks like that dill weed on the side of the road.
So this is really interesting. We really do need to understand our food choices. We really need to understand nutritional balance, and we really, really need to understand portion control. My rule is I never eat anything bigger than my fist. So this is what I put on my plate.
Really? That's it?
The size of my fist.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we're supposed to, so a little bit of salad,
Right.
I when I'm home, I weigh out my meat so I know I'm getting enough protein.
Right.
And then I usually have some protein powder throughout the day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In protein powder, there's a lot of information we could talk about.
You and I could talk for days on all of this. But and also understanding healthy fats. I think a lot of people pick things, and I'm totally guilty of this. I used to pick, the fat-free, thinking, oh, this is better for me, off the shelf. Not better for me necessarily. Maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, so a lack of fat propagates dementia and Alzheimer's.
Right. We want good fat.
Well, we want cholesterol. So they say a low cholesterol, you take a lipid, they take these pills, Lipitor, whatever all that stuff is. All you're doing is perpetuating Alzheimer's and dementia. In the last 30 years, Alzheimer's and dementia has increased like 2,000% in the United States. Do you know what they call it in every other country?
What?
Type 3 diabetes.
Interesting.
There's no such thing as Alzheimer's and dementia in any other country other than the U.S. because they consider it type 3 diabetes.
Is that a way for them to have, again, I'm sticking on this conspiracy theory. By first of all, guys, when you're watching this, there's a lot of information being shared. Obviously, Brent has done a lot of research with his wife with the Wellness Center. Obviously, Mary with her journey in health. So we're giving you basically personal experiences. If you're questioning this, look it up, peel back the onion. The whole reason why, again, when we started this episode 90 or this podcast, 91 episodes, is let's share some information that we have found out. If you don't think that we're right, do your own research. If you think that you have found better research, then go ahead and debate us on us, put it in comments. But going back into is having this Alzheimer's. Okay, now we have Alzheimer's and dementia. Now we can go ahead and we can prescribe medicine for that to kind of keep them in the state. Yeah. And so I just feel like this is in this cycle. It's just like we're on this. Now we have to go through therapy. Now we have to go to assisted living facilities. And I have friends that have those, but it's this constant wheel of, it's like one thing after another. And that's where I go back to the RFK thing, the things that I've been hearing, the things I've been reading back, the things, that I'm trying to think of who's the big speaker. Tony Robbins came out with a great book. All these other things that are like natural stem cells, all these different things that actually put us back into our youthful state, but no one's promoting this, right?
So if they try to, they seem to get squashed.
They get squashed right away. So that's why I go back to is, even though you think it's crazy for not to be vaccinated and stuff like this, everybody, let's go back to our faith thing. When God made us, everybody's different. We have different DNA, we have different fingernails, we have different eyes, and so on and so forth, right? Different fingerprints, different. Some of us had the same type of blood, but that cannot, even though you're like, okay, you have that type of blood that's given that. The point I'm trying to make is go in, get your blood work done. What's good for you, what's bad for you, what diet should you be on, what diet, because your diet and my diet and Brent's diet are all going to be different.
Right.
There'll be maybe some common threads through there, but really we go out and buy healthy food, but we just, because of what someone tells us to do, but we really don't know how that's affecting our body. And I think that since God has given us this one body, that maybe instead of investing into, being facetious here, a Starbucks, take some of those money and then go down and really get a good blood panel and seeing what's going on. It's cumbersome. It's hard because it's so hard to see medical people right now for whatever reason. But if you really spend that time, and I'm sure that Brent has some people, you probably know some people too, that I can go in and get a full panel done. What's good, what's bad, you need more of this, you need less of this type of thing.
Yeah, I recommend going to a naturopath. I stopped going to traditional medicine, internal medicine doctors. And as I got healthy, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm on, I think at the time I was on 7 different pharmaceuticals. And like 3 were hormones for, menopause, thyroid. I could go on and on. Anyway, now I'm on 1 medicine in my health journey, and my naturopath switched me for my thyroid to a more natural approach. It sounds gross, but basically it's crushed up pig thyroid, but at least it's more natural. It's not a manufactured synthetic drug. And now I'm starting to research. There's different kinds of like oils and supplements that I can take and get off it altogether. Meanwhile, my internal medicine doctor had told me never, once I started, levothyroxine, I think is what it was called, Levoxyl. Once I started it, I could never get off of it. I think they put the fear of God in us about pharmaceuticals because they want to keep us on it, right? It's a business.
It's a total business, and they get paid for it. The more prescriptions they write, the more money that they get. There's plenty of documentaries that are on TV, YouTube, and all those different things that show like the evil side of these pharmaceuticals that these guys come in there. The reps, again, there's some good people out there, not painting this bad picture, but it is a business. The more you sell, the more you make. And in the world of doctors, hey, we're going to, like, if you sell this much, we're going to grease you. Not everything in there's, but do some freaking research. Just because someone says to take this, go get other opinions, right? Because it may have been right for a lot of people. I just heard something today that the full study of a drug doesn't really get released to almost 75 years later. That's a whole lifetime.
Because we are the experiment.
We're the experiment, right?
Also, ladies, if you're having hot flashes and going through menopause, do your research about magnesium. I had no idea. And now I'm taking magnesium. Hot flashes are gone and I'm not on any hormones. So there you go. And I sleep so much better.
Yeah. Chrissy, and I'm sure that I don't know if you've had this talk with Chrissy or not, but it was kind of the same thing. She went in from kind of a premenopausal state to like a full hysterectomy, and it was level 10 like the next day.
Yeah.
She'll jokingly,
no, it's horrible.
It's funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. I was like, there are times that I thought her we were on the movie The Exorcist and her head was spinning around. I remember calling her mom, like, you've got to come and get her. I have no idea what the hell is going on here.
Well, I remember just being embarrassed, like at events. Like I would have like, you know, armpit stains because I was sweating so bad. I felt like a luau pig, you know, with an apple in its mouth on luau pig, you know, on a spit, you know, being rotated. Like that's how hot I felt all the time. It was miserable. And their magnesium, it's all it took. Meanwhile, they gave me 4 prescriptions. 4. I mean, think how much just that was costing me monthly, even. I mean,
and that's so let's go there for a second, because there are people, a lot of people in this world, in the United States, since we're here, is they don't, almost embarrassed, as you said, what the hell is happening to me?
right, sure.
What am I doing? Who do I turn to? I don't know. I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to go see somebody. I'm supposed to go see a doctor. Someone told me to do this. That's why I said is hopefully now that if you're a woman or you're a man that has a wife or girlfriend that's going through this, you got a resource here now. Obviously, I have a resource because of Chrissy. So do those different things. But it is a freaking, maybe I'm not using the right words, but just kind of going back to hearing what you said and what kind of Chrissy went through. It's almost humiliating that at such a young age, because you were taught that menopause was supposed to be in her 60s and 70s, right? And we're in our 50s, and we're like, what the F is going on?
I was in my 40s.
Okay.
When it happened. Yeah.
Chrissy would have been about the same part.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to reach out and talk to this. Obviously, Brent on here, he's got a great resource. He's close. We've had Caitlin and Edna in the market. There's a lot of great information, but I think you're spot on to that. Same thing with Brent, probably could fill in here too, but is that a natural path has a lot of great remedies, and they're easy fixes, that it's not a toxic fix. It is helping your body, which you can do. Go figure. God made this amazing natural body, and let's put natural stuff into it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have a daughter with anxiety that sometimes used to really struggle with anxiety. We took her to a naturopath. The naturopath prescribed lavella, which is a derivative of lavender. It's a natural derivative of lavender. Look it up if you have anxiety, you guys. She swears by it, and it's really helped her. And you know, I just think we're not looking into this kind of alternative medicine enough. I mean, if it's debilitating, sometimes you have to take something, but there's alternatives. Just like Brent was saying with his cough syrup. I mean, there are natural things that you can take that work just as well,
and faster, and actually healing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the big thing is we want the easy fix. Let's go ahead and make me feel better now, which Brent goes back to is like, okay, well, cocaine, pot, whatever you're going to say, that those will make you feel good right now. But what is a long-term effect on that? Right? It's not good. I'm not feeling good. The old school, take a shot of whiskey. Okay. That's a nice number. How is it really helping your body get back into, to where it's supposed to be? We have somebody that I work very closely with here. She woke up in the morning, she's covered in freaking hives, doesn't know where it come from. Same thing, premenopausal, stressed out, all these different things. And I think that you will attest to this too. And April probably dealt with this too, but this premenopausal, when your body chemically starts changing, all these toxins that have been embedded in your body for a long time start going like, yeah, we're not wanted anymore, and come out in this weird way. Yeah. I don't know if that happened to you when that stuff, you have this toxic release. And
it was rough. I don't know what exactly was happening, but definitely something was changing. Mine was pretty radical overnight though, because of that hysterectomy.
Yeah. It was the same thing with Chrissy. So,
but I think, talking about somebody waking up, in hives, that's generally stress, right? What are the best ways to manage stress? Brent, I'll ask you that one.
Bouncing ball.
Oh, he's coughing. That's okay.
So, I get on the rebounder for 10 minutes.
What's the rebounder?
So it's like a trampoline, but it has it's stiffer. They have different stiffness. So we have 2 or 3 of them at the wellness center. You get on it, it activates all of your muscles, including your core, all at the same time. And you bounce on it for 10 minutes, just like a trampoline, essentially. If you want more effect and more activation, you can go to the outward edges, which is stiffer. And so you do an alternative out, in. You do that for 4 or 5 minutes. You just bounce, whatever. But it activates and stimulates all of your muscle groups independently and simultaneously of each other. It activates your lymphatic system, and it decreases stress completely. Like, I have to do that at the end of the day to decompress a lot or get on vibration therapy. Huge benefit. I
That's
also,
awesome that you know this. What like
my
works for
my
you.
wife taught me,
Love it. Wives are
And
the
she-
best.
and she teaches this to all of her clients.
Awesome.
So the first thing that she does when she has a new client that wants to get into the gym and they've not done it in a long time and they want to slowly get into it, that's one of the first things that she has them do is do the rebounder, because it's activating all of your muscles. People will get on that for 4 or 5 minutes and be twice as sore as a workout.
Not wild.
because it's
Managing
activating
stress
everything.
is so important for our mental and physical well-being. I think people just keep charging and keep going, like Blair
Yeah.
was saying, and they don't do anything to release. And I think exercise has been a huge thing for me. Like when my mind has been racing and I go to that personal trainer and I lift those weights and I think I can't, but then I do, it's like, I don't
Right.
know. So what, I don't know. I did look this up on the internet, so I'd be interested to see what you guys think. How much exercise do we need to stay healthy each week?
I would, if I'm coaching somebody, I would tell them 3 to 5 days a week for 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an hour. I try to do an hour because I don't really get an hour between walking around, changing the weights out, things like that. You get about 20 to 40 minutes of active workout because you're moving and adjusting and things like that. One
So
of the
2 to
biggest
3
things
days.
3 to 5. Yeah. So one of
And
the
I think
biggest things for
one thing
Oh,
that
go ahead.
I've learned on my journey, and I'm not a certified trainer, but one thing that I've learned personally, I was like, my arms like jiggled before and they don't now. I'm like, we're trying to show you guys this.
Show the muscles.
They're not all the way there yet, but they're getting there.
Getting there.
Anyway, but they really did jiggle. Can you imagine? You lose 65 pounds. Where does all that skin go, right? I really learned that at our age, I think resistance and weight is key.
100%.
Would you agree with what
Yeah.
you do for a living? I mean, you're
Yeah.
better to speak on this.
Heavy lifting, heavier lifting, less reps is hugely beneficial, especially for me. When I'm heavy lifting, my testosterone naturally goes up. I've literally doubled my testosterone in 30 days, literally doubled it without any other input by heavy lifting alone.
Well,
I
there's a
have
pro tip for men.
I have 3x'd it by heavy lifting, cold plunge, sauna, Sheila Jeet. I can go on. Sheila
What's the
Jeet
last
is
thing that you said for people that
Yeah.
don't know what that is?
So Sheila Jeet is it's an oil that comes out of a tree, and it looks like tar, and it's like super nasty tasting, but they make it into like a gummy almost. It still doesn't taste great, but it's tolerable, and they mix it with some natural fruit juice and stuff like that to kind of take the edge off. But it tastes like dirt. It's not great, but it stimulates your natural hormones. It's kind of like taking the pill DIM. Have you ever heard of DIM?
Mm-mm.
So DIM, everything in our bodies needs a receptor and a deliverer. So like vitamin D is a deliverer as well as a plug-in, right? And then other things can attach to the vitamin D. Whereas
Okay.
the other things can't just naturally plug into the cell without a vitamin D carrier. So Sheila Jeet is one of those as well. But my testosterone, by the way, I do every 6 weeks, I do a blood panel. It's no different than an oil change in your car, right? If you're not watching your maintenance, you don't know when your engine's going to go bad. Why
Okay.
would you not treat your body the same way?
Mhm.
So, my last blood panel, my testosterone was at 2,300. I'm 52 years old. I do take a small incremental amount of testosterone, but the rest of it, which gets me to about 700. From 700 to 2,300 is all activity, lifestyle, food choices, diet, exercise, all those things.
That's
I
amazing.
And another thing too, which more studies are coming out as well, is this. Obviously, with a lot of foods we have the chemicals on there.
Mhm.
Us as men do not realize how much estrogen producing chemicals are in that,
In
which
your laundry soap.
in your laundry soap, which we've gone to a natural
Wow.
laundry soap to a natural dishwashing soap. Chrissy's been
Yep.
very good at that part. Testosterone levels are going back in there. Just don't go take this eugenic stuff on there. Everyone's testosterone levels are different. So go get a blood panel on that to
Yep.
get it dialed in the right way, because some are going to be more, some are going to be less. But one thing that I'm getting to on this is that women actually need testosterone as well,
Yep.
to kind of keep that out to balance out the estrogen in there, so there's not spikes on different things. That a new study in there, if you don't think I'm crazy saying that, start looking up testosterone stuff for women. It's highly recommended. A naturopath can tell you about that. But again, blood panels like Brent told you about are massively important, because they can dial it into the correct amount. Just like, hey, I heard I was supposed to take testosterone, and some doctors will, yeah, sure, here, take this shot and go.
Mhm.
That's not the point of it. It's a point of it is like, again, every body is different. Someone's going to need more, some are going to need to be less. But women do need the testosterone, so those spikes of estrogen, just like guys, will have spikes of estrogen too. We have that similarity, but men are supposed to have more testosterone, and it's being more and more and more taken away from us. Why we get tired, why we get more angry, why we have spikes in emotions and stuff like that. And you don't realize, like, God, I'm eating healthy, but are you eating the right foods?
That's
So
very interesting.
what they will tell you is that a man of our age, Blair, is supposed to have a testosterone level of 300 to 500 to be healthy, and
Yeah,
anything over 800 is excessive.
it's wrong.
It's wrong. It's
It's
completely
completely
wrong.
wrong.
Every
Interesting.
time that I get over 1,500, my energy level is through the roof. My calmness level is like I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally calm. I'm totally thought provoked in my responses. My emotional intelligence is at another level. It's when we get to the 300 to 500 level, you get frustrated because you can't be a man. You're
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not in our range. I mean, if you think about this, a 13-year-old boy has a testosterone level of like 15,000. If it wasn't bad for us then, why is it bad for us now at 50s?
Right. So, Brent, another question I have for you is what are the most, you've said blood panel, but
Mhm.
other than that one, what are the most important preventative health screenings for our age and risk factors?
So this is going to go to conspiracy theory and my own opinion. So do what you got to do for you. But I believe that colon screening is a scam and it's a sham and it's not, there's no place for it, in my opinion. The amount, if you look this up, the amount of colon cancer in the United States is high over the last 50 years, but also in line with seed oils, diet, GMO products, all those things. So if you follow that trail, then colon cancer is following that same trail. Do your own research. The other thing is your
Can I
insurance
ask a
won't.
question before you move on that one?
Okay. Okay.
So I know they used to do the colonoscopies and now they're doing those little cards or whatever. You
Yep.
think those are a scam
That,
as well?
that's a scam and a sham. So let me
Okay.
tell you why. So your insurance won't pay for your colonoscopy 100% if they don't find a polyp. So guess what they always find? At least one or two.
Yeah.
And then they do a test to see if it's benign or otherwise. And every time they do a test on a polyp,
More money.
there's a 99.9% chance that it's benign.
Oh, interesting.
So real numbers, look them up for yourselves. Also, think about what they're doing to you when they snip off this polyp. They're creating an open wound in the last stage of your GI tract, which is the dirtiest and most wrought with bacteria because your body's trying to get rid of all this stuff.
Right.
So why would you allow somebody to cut you and create an open wound in a cesspool? Would you cut your hand open on purpose and stick it in a septic tank? Well, why are you allowing a doctor to do that crap?
Interesting. Okay.
You gotta be your own. You gotta be your own advocate.
Any other? You do have to be your own advocate. That is very true. Any other screenings that you would or would not recommend?
Every screening. So I get a full blood panel. Like I said, a full blood panel, including metals. So you got to make sure that you have the right amount of metals, right? So magnesium. Most people are magnesium deficient. Again, we have horrible food quality. There's nothing in the 4 food groups as a standard practice that support sustainable health for long term. My opinion. Again, I think it's a sham. It's been a scam since the 40s, even into the 30s. They want you to lead this balanced thing. I disagree with eating a lot of vegetables. There's a natural product in vegetables that prevents or tries to prevent you from eating the vegetable. It's their natural defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that.
Fruits and vegetables have a natural defense to keep you from wanting to eat them.
So go ahead.
What do you think about beans? I've just been researching beans lately. I know.
My client is into beans, and it's supposed to be one of the amazingly healthy thing to do. Like uncooked beans.
People say that beans are, great protein or whatever. But I've been doing research, and they naturally aren't really that great for us. And if you do eat them, you should soak them for a day.
Yeah.
They're actually like nature's pesticide almost. Is that the right word?
Yes, 100%. It's that natural defense that they have in them. The reason why you soak them is because no different than you put you in hot water. What do? You get relaxed and you calm down.
Mm-hmm.
So this pissed off mechanism that's natural defense for that plant is at a raging high, and then you put it in warm water and soak it, or put it in lukewarm water and soak it, and then that defense mechanism dissipates and goes away.
Yeah.
It becomes softer.
Correct.
They really do.
It's true, right?
It's true.
No, I have a client right now.
More palatable for your digestive tract. I don't recommend eating it personally.
Beans actually, as you're talking about digestive tract, as I'm researching beans, I know I have too much time on my hands when I'm researching beans, but I'm super into this stuff, you guys. It's like my favorite pastime right now. Is super bad for the lining of our intestine, like for for our gut health. People are so into eating beans, but it's really, really not good for our tummies. Gut health is such a huge problem when we're talking about health.
Well, why do they give you gas?
Exactly. Good point.
Same thing with broccoli. Same thing with Brussels sprouts. Do you know the Brussels sprouts that we eat were changed in the 1950s to become more palatable? If you ate a natural Brussels sprout, it would almost make you puke because the taste is so freaking horrible.
How long ago was that? Because remember when you grew up, like, oh my God, you got to eat Brussels sprouts, and like, and now like I'll go out and like, oh my God, Brussels sprouts.
It's like,
I'm not having so much.
Restaurant at a resort here in the desert, and Brussels sprouts was one of the main dishes.
So it started in the 50s. It started in the 50s, and it's evolved. They keep changing the GMO transition to make it more palatable. So if they don't sell a lot, then they make it different and breed it with something different to change it so you'll become more apt to try it.
Geez, Brent, after here, I'm not going to want to eat anything but like ice chips, and even our water's infected. So what do we do?
Well, you do your research. You
go to farmers markets, support your local farmer.
Yep. Make choices and changes for yourself. It can't be all at once. It's a lot to take in. But really, Let me tell you a quick story.
Can you tell me though, really quick, while you're making that recommendation? Tell us what kind of meat you eat, and is it grass fed? Is it antibiotic free and finished, or what's that? What meat do you?
Grass-fed, local, from where you're at. No different than trying to eat seasonally, right? So, um, I don't believe in grain fed. Grain is garbage. It's corn. If it wasn't good for, I mean, cows are designed to, they're ruminants. They're designed to take in grass and take in forage and convert it into energy that can be used and eaten for other animals, essentially, right? So also our conventional cows, I would tell you to go back to like legacy type cow meat, truthfully. The legacy type cow meat is the stuff that is from like Ireland, the Highlands in Scotland, things like that. There are a number of different varieties that they brought back, and the reason why they brought them back is because they're more designed for us to take in. Natural wild game, deer, elk, buffalo.
So, but for like, say, the young mom that's just trying to feed her family healthy, do you have like three
CSA.
recommendations?
Go to a CSA. They typically will be more organic. They will typically feed their animals and treat their animals in a humane way. They have.
How do you find where your local CSA is, or
just Google? Google's your friend.
Okay.
Yep. Like in our area, there's probably 10 CSAs that deliver here locally.
Okay.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap, but what's the cost of your health worth, right? So
you're going to pay for that. Yeah, you're going to pay.
Yeah.
I think you just said that right now. You're going to, one way or another, you're going to pay to be healthy. You're going to be paying to stay on drugs, or you start eating healthy and you take less drugs. And so that's going to compensate back for you. And I think I'm glad that we hit that topic here real quick. I think that's the big thing is like, I don't have enough. I'm supposed to eat healthy, but I don't have enough money. But in the meantime, I'm spending $500 to $1,000 a month on medications to stay healthy. Where if you were eating healthy, you wouldn't have to take those. No, it is a massive mind paradigm shift, realistically, of what we've been fed over years, because we see all these different people that have a different agenda. Where we're being super raw here on this podcast of journeys that you've gone through, journeys what Brent's gone through, journeys what I've gone through, about there are other ways. It feels a little bit more expensive up front because I have to go back and really change everything that I thought was true. But before we go off of this vegetable and fruit type of thing, I have really seen a difference in my digestive tract with First Form, with the Opta Greens and Opta Reds. And I mix that in with the magnesium. I typically take that at night. I get a really good sleep, and then my digestive tract in the morning is pretty good.
I take it in the morning and at night.
Do you? Okay. And so, meaning is I have a good poop. That's what you're supposed to do. Like get rid of all that stuff, right? We're being raw here, being real. But I just, there's times that, I don't think that we get enough vegetables and fruits. And I just think there's other ones besides First Form, obviously. This is the way that
First Form is a vitamin.
First Form is a supplement company out of St. Louis, Missouri. They've started as a vitamin company and have turned into other things. There's some great stuff. I'm sure there's some other ones there. Brent sells First Form in his wellness centers. There's some other stuff that he has as well that are out there. But if you want to look into First Form energy or First Form supplements, just First PHORM. Look them up. There's a lot of stuff in there. The great thing I really like about First Form, especially when you're delving in the world of nutrition, they have an online thing. Like literally you can talk to a human right there. Why should I take this? And answer that back and forth and at least get some information from there. And if they don't have all the answers to their First Form has been very good at recommending, like maybe you should read this article type of thing.
I like that.
Yeah. So
what do you think on the world of supplements, just because you're more of an expert with your wellness center, what do you think about probiotics and prebiotics?
Very important. However, you have to take a massive amount of them for them to really make a difference. Your gut kills 90% of it as soon as it touches your gut. It's all about pH. And so we have acid in our stomach to kill things purposefully. So you got to be careful with what you take. You got to take stuff that's designed to get to your lower GI tract before it's completely, ate up or spent. We recommend and sell First Form. We recommend and sell Weight Nutrition, which is a friend of mine, Aaron Nash, who's a spinoff of First Form. He actually had Andy Frisella help him formulate and start his supplement company. It was inspired. He has a bunch of gyms in Florida and across the United States. And so there's a ton of people that are out there that are trying to help you. I have a couple of questions for you guys. Why is there a health food section in the supermarket? And what did you pass to get to the health food section?
Junk food.
Right. Why is there? If everything is supposed to be good for you at the store, right?
Right.
Even in moderation, why is there a health food section? What's all the other stuff? Just garbage? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And why do they call it alternative medicine? Because it changes your mind to say that it's off the fringe, it's different, it's out there. No, it's medicine too. The only thing that makes it alternative is it hasn't been proven by the FDA and approved by the FDA, and it hasn't gone through their testing cycle, which is, by the way, lackadaisical at best, and usually wrought with somebody writing a check to get approved. Now, if you're not doing the research to find out what exactly an FDA approval stands for and means, and you're just saying, well, it's FDA approved, I'm going to take it, then you're going to go see Jesus probably a long time before other people that do their research. I'm just guessing. The last thing before we don't go into Joe Rogan time here.
We're already Joe Rogan, dude.
There.
Too late.
So I went into the emergency room at 27 years old with what I thought was an anxiety attack. It wasn't. It was a precursor to a stroke or a heart attack. They put me on a Holter monitor. If nobody's ever had one of those, it records your heartbeat, pulse, all those things for 6 weeks. It's uncomfortable at best. It's gotten better. Now they're about this big. The one I had was about this big, strapped to your back. Every time that you have a little episode or a heart flutter, you feel something, you hit the button. So I carry around this button like a crackhead all day, just hitting the button. And it was crazy. So they put me on this medication. It's $4,800 a month. I was on it for 20 plus years. I still am on a small amount of it, but it is incrementally like 6% of what I used to take. All because they couldn't figure out why my blood pressure was high. And my blood pressure was high because I have a condition that makes my blood thick. I have to donate blood about every 6 to 8 weeks. As soon as I donate blood, then my body goes into repair mode and creates thinner blood, which then thickens up over 6 or 8 weeks. I don't know what it's called. I don't really care what it's called. All I know is that I stopped taking $4,800 worth of medication every month, all with a simple blood donation.
Wow.
For over 20 years, $57,600 a year for 20 years. That's
and how did you figure that out?
I went to a nurse practitioner, Dr. Stephanie Ridgely. We've talked about her before. She's with On Call Advantage. They just changed their name to Cornerstone Medical. She does a concierge service. And so anybody can sign up with her. Excuse me, it's like $179 a month for an individual, like $229 a month for a family. And she does blood tests. She does all of that stuff. Her blood tests are like $150 or $200. Your blood test that your insurance pays about $2,600 for the same blood test. And you pay your 20% or your copay or whatever it is. This is a business, people.
It is.
And if you're out there pushing shots to solve your problem, and you're out there pushing FDA approved stuff to solve your problems, you haven't done the research. You are blind like the sheep and just following the shepherd.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend that works people that have the bariatric surgery. She's like a nutritional counselor following that. And she was telling me that she started a secondary company to educate doctors, because the doctors that are pushing these shots aren't educating their patients that once you get on them, you should never get off of them, because starting and stopping them does more harm than good. And the graphic details of what she was sharing with me was scary. And I was like, man, and doctors aren't telling their patients this. And she said no. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, how about what it does to your rectum? Look that up, and that won't scare you into not taking the shot.
I'm going to cut us off because I've been thinking we were going to want to talk more of this. I think that we're just scratching the surface, and I know it's near and dear to your heart. I know it's near and dear to Brent's. It's near and dear to mine. I mean, that's why I work out, 5 to 6 days a week. Mine's mentally working out, obviously, yes, to stay in shape, but I always jokingly say I go to the gym so I don't go to prison.
Right.
Yep.
I agree.
And I don't kill somebody, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But I think the big thing that I want to leave our listeners and our soon-to-be listeners on here is like, really watch this episode, watch it 1 or 2 or 3 times, and really write down some questions. Put those questions into comments on either YouTube, Spotify, or reach out and talk to us through text, instant messaging, whatever that is. But I feel out of all 90 episodes that we have done, this is probably one of the most important ones, because it is not only how to make us better as a person, to have longevity, not only for our family, but for our kids or grandkids, but our community in general, and give that stuff out there. So final words for you, Brent.
Just as always, go make a damn difference. Do the research. Do what makes sense for yourself and your family, and just don't go into things blind and say, because the experts said. Become your own expert.
Mary?
Yeah, and be sure to hit the like button on YouTube. For sure. Follow us, like us. I would definitely say the pain was worth the gain for me.
Yeah.
I feel better. I look better. It's fun to buy clothes again.
Right.
But most of all, I'm going to be able to sit on the ground with those grandchildren one day. And that makes me super happy.
Massive paradigm shift in the world of health right now. I feel there's a vibe in it. I have a friend that owns a GNC, and surf like there's already changes in the product that they're making that are actually becoming more healthier. It's going to be a little more expensive. People are, walking around right now and saying like, well, the prices are not going down. We have to change stuff that's been over the last 60, 70, 80, 90 years of what it's been changing, and getting back to what Brent and you guys talked about, to that natural world of stuff that we had way before this time. So give it some time. Yes, it's going to be more expensive, but do your research. It will eventually be less expensive than taking drugs. And I know that we kind of beat that home today, but we beat it home for a reason. So do your research. Let us know some of the things that you guys have went through. What are the things that you found that really worked for you? Who's your naturopath? What was your weight loss story? Did you lose 100 pounds? Did you lose 15 pounds? Did you lose 5 pounds? Did you lose 65 pounds?
Have you lost nothing?
Have you lost nothing? Yeah. I mean, it's out there. We're not here.
And if you're stuck, reach out, because we have probably ways we can help. Yeah.
Can I come to Camp Brent?
You can.
We might have to build wellness center in the desert part 2.
Or how about some wellness retreats? Let's start planning some wellness retreats out there.
I'm throwing this out to the universe. 2 things I've been looking at. We are looking at starting a second location and partnering with Dr. Stephanie at Cornerstone Medical to have a location inside her office. The second thing is on that note, Mary, we are going to start looking into doing retreats on the coast in Lincoln City, Oregon. A friend of mine owns a hotel, and we're going to transform that hotel into a wellness hotel for like 3 to 4 weekends a year, where you can come, get well, get educated, try things out, get in the hyperbaric chamber, do soft wave, do vibration therapy, all those things right in a beautiful 4-star hotel.
I would like to come and be your host for that.
Cool.
Talk about it. All right, guys, there's a lot. We're going to probably, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to talk more about this next week because I find it's just really important and it just, so Brent, thank you so much for today. Mary, I can't say enough. Thank you, God, for you coming in here and being a part of this podcast. I think we've really scratched the surface of something really cool here. Just a massively different dynamic. Brent and I were just talking about this the other day. Is like God put you here for a reason. We're going to continue this journey to figure out where that journey leads us to it. But I'm super freaking excited to have you here. So
thank you. Thanks for having me, you guys.
That's better to see your face than listen to you in other places.
Listen to me on the radio.
Yeah, listen to the radio. So, all right, guys, we're going to get the heck out of here. We're going to go make a freaking damn difference. Mary's going to do some cool shit. I'm going to do some cool shit. Brent is going to break checks and cash checks and doing some stuff like that. So anyway, until we see each other next week, stay safe. But most of all, God bless, guys, and have a great, great day.